Hi, I'm Neil Keller. In this video I'm going to talk about a hip flexor stretch called the couch stretch, and I might break this down into a couple of videos, not sure yet. But in this video at the very least I'll show you a simple variation of the couch stretch, actually using the couch or some part of the couch to stretch the hip flexors. So this is my couch, lounging chair, whatever you want to call it. So instead of actually using this part of the chair, because the arm is fairly long and because the arm goes up against the wall, I'm going to use the arm of the chair in combination with the wall. One reason I'm doing this is because this is a little bit too soft. It doesn't offer good resistance for the shin. It actually allows you to relax from the stretch a bit, so I prefer a wall. And if you wanted to vary it, so going into it, could put your foot against the wall, lower your knee to the chair. If this was too hard, you could also bring your knee forward on the chair, and then that makes it easier to control the stretch. When you're ready to go deeper, you can just start moving your knee closer towards the wall. And one reason that I'm using this is if you have, probably not right now, but when you have access to a gym, referring to coronavirus and gyms being shut down, etc. If you have access to a gym, one way that I like to do this stretch is to use a bench, just butt it up against the wall, and then I use the bench in the same way that I'm using the arm of the chair. I rest my leg that I'm stretching on the bench with the knee against the wall, the foot up the wall like so. And the nice thing about having the bench is a very easy version of the stretch is to lie forward. Now this arm is long enough I can do this. I can just rest with my arms on the chair. So this is a nice way to warm up to the stretch if you're particularly tight in the hip flexors. And I should point out again that this is a stretch for the rectus femoris. Because of the hip flexors I mentioned, the rectus femoris is the only one that passes down the straight down the front of the knee. And while tensor fasciae lati in the IT band may not be affected by the bend in the knee, so it could be a tensor fasciae lati stretch. Meanwhile, sartorius, if the knee is bent, that actually puts some slack in sartorius, so it shortens the sartorius. And so with the knee bent, you're probably not going to stretch the sartorius that much. So this stretch does, I think, target the rectus femoris and maybe possibly the tensor fasciae lati. But anyway, so going back into the stretch, an easy way to prepare for the stretch is to rest on your arms if you have that option. If your chair, whatever you're using, is a bit lower, you can rest your hands on the floor with the elbows straight. If you have yoga blocks, you could put yoga blocks on the floor, but try to prop your upper body up. And something very simple that you can do is, with your foot against the wall, what I'd suggest doing is try pressing your foot against the wall, so you'll get some activation in the front of the thigh. And I'd suggest, rather than just trying to push with as much force as possible, press your foot into the wall just so you can start to get a feel for the front of your thigh. You probably get some tension along the front of the thigh. It might feel uncomfortable. So what you could do instead is push, slowly and smoothly push, and then relax. And when you relax, you may find that you can go deeper. You may find that it's a little bit more comfortable. So in this position, what you can do, so with your arms supported, so here, or more upright if you're able, push the foot into the wall. So I can feel this activating, relax. Push the foot into the wall, relax. Push the foot into the wall, relax. And when you've had enough of that, come out and then do the other side. So that's the initial stretch. So low down, pressing the foot into the wall. As you get more comfortable in the stretch, you can come up a little bit higher. And this is where it's handy to have some props. When I'm at the gym, I use one of those big Vipers, the tubes of rubber that they play around with. I place my hand on that with the Viper angled, so I can use that as a prop to give me some leverage to push my rib cage up. So if you have some prop that you can use. So in this case, I could turn this chair around and use the back armrest as a prop. Can I do that? So in this case, so now I can use, excuse the back of my chair, but here I can use the back armrest as a prop, and then I can lever my rib cage up or support my rib cage. And then what I'd suggest, so previously I talked about how to activate the transverse abdominis. What you could do, try pulling in on your transverse abdominis to create an upward pull on the A6 on the side that you're stretching, as well as pushing your foot into the wall. Relax, and you can try moving your hips slightly left or right to adjust the stretch. Look for a position that feels comfortable but still gives you a stretch. So sequence of events might be pull in on, lift your chest, so push down with your arms, lift your chest, pulling your transverse abdominis, push with the foot, adjust if necessary, and relax. Lift your chest, transverse abdominis engaged, push with the foot, and then relax. And you repeat that any number of times. First few times you do it, it might be extremely uncomfortable, so try to do minimum of 3 repetitions slowly and smoothly. Come out of it, do the other side, rest as much as you need to, and then get back to it. And I'd suggest shorter is better initially so that you can gradually get used to it. And I've only just started doing this stretch again after a number of years not doing it. And I'd say it's a fairly important stretch, particularly if you're working on stretching the back of your thighs, doing your hamstring stretches. It's a nice way to balance hamstring stretches. As well, it's something, I don't know if seating a lot is one reason for using this stretch or not, because I do spend a lot of time sitting, but I also do a lot of yoga, so I'm not a very good person to recommend that. But in general, I tend to lack flexibility at the front of my body because I've been focused more on front bends, and also because I really dislike back bending, and I finally figured out, okay, this is something that I need to start working on. And stretches like this, couch stretch, are extremely, when you don't do them for a while, they can be extremely uncomfortable. So hopefully this provides a nice way for you to move into the stretch. If you have something that you can lift yourself a little bit higher in the pose, as I just showed you, using a couch or a bench or a chair, can make it a little bit easier to do it. And if you can work into it gradually, and if, like I said, if you can work at pressing your foot into the wall so you provide some resistance, you may find it a little bit more comfortable. And tomorrow I'll talk about an additional muscle activation that you can use in this pose to also make it more effective, so that you don't have to spend quite so long in the pose to get a positive effect, and also at the same time get a better feel for your body. And one other thing, because all of these hip flexors, they work on the hips. So the ones I was talking about, the 3 that attach to the A6, they work on the hips as well as the knee. So another reason for doing this stretch in particular is that it can be beneficial for the knee, because it is working on muscles that work on the knee. And that can be one reason, especially for pressing into the wall, is that you're learning to, or you're practicing activating that muscle while it is being stretched, so gaining better control of it. And that might be a good thing for your knee. But more on that in the next continuing discussion about couch stretch. Thank you very much for watching. Namaste.